Greetings.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, welcome to the Mathom Podcast at the movies.
God damn it, Mathom House Podcast at the movies.
What did I say?
Mathom Podcast at the movies. You forgot our name, Mark.
All right.
This is staying in. We've tried to start this like 5 different times.
Right, we keep screwing up. Anyway, this is the Mathom House Podcast at the movies special.
Did you bring the popcorn?
I did not.
Damn, I didn't either.
What about the dots?
I have some Junior Mints in my back pocket
I
right
do
now.
like Junior Mints.
Me too. So this is something new we're trying out. If you don't care if you like it or not, we hope you do. We're going to do it either way.
We're going to do it either way.
We're going to start reviewing movies.
Right, and some of them are going to be older movies that we're watching on DVD. Other ones are going to be ones that have come out semi-recent-ish in the movie theater.
What are we talking about this week?
We are talking about Episode 8, Star Wars The Last Jedi.
Okay, so obviously, heavy spoilers are to come.
Right.
So,
But here's the thing. The movie's been out for almost a month. If you haven't seen it by now, you don't care about spoilers.
That's true, but it's also only been out a month. People are busy, especially during the holiday season. So if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want spoilers, click away. Do it now. 10, 9, 8.
I'm very impressed that you can count.
Yeah, I can only go to 8, though, so we're starting. Polarizing movie.
Yes.
Lots of people didn't like it.
Yes.
Lots of people enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You listeners are in luck. I loved it.
I did not like it.
Ooh. So, do you want to go over the plot first, or do you want to talk about what we liked and didn't like?
I mean, I think we can... Let's do the plot real quick synopsis.
So it picks up right after The Force Awakens ended.
Right.
So,
Well, like, I think the one thing that about the plot is that it's kind of like Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, where the movie is split into two main chunks. And then later on, it sort of splits into a third chunk. But there's two main sections.
yeah, I would say there's 3 acts in the movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not necessarily acts, but like lines of story that you follow.
Okay, yeah.
One is the Rey-Luke line. One is the Leia-Poe line.
Yeah, the whole Resistance.
And then there was the sort of side line, which was Finn and Rose is her name?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the 3 main lines.
2 of those 3 were amazing.
Debatable.
I didn't like the Finn Rose thing very much.
I don't think most people did.
Like, it's cool that Finn found love and all that.
But did he?
No. So, let's just go by the 3 storylines.
Right.
Line by line. Let's start with the worst one. The whole Finn Rose.
Right.
That was my least favorite part of the movie.
Uh-huh.
I will be completely honest. There was 2 parts about this movie I hated.
Uh-huh.
Number 1, Leia flying through space. Pardon my language. What the fuck? Why?
Yeah, I mean, they laid it on
Is
a little...
she Jesus?
I know. I mean, I was expecting a crown of thorns. I was expecting some Roman soldiers to mock her.
I know.
It was a bit much.
At first, I thought they were just killing her off.
Yeah, I thought so, too.
Like she was in the bridge of her command ship during a big space battle.
Well, and that's the thing. I remember when Carrie Fisher died, and they were like, people were saying, well, how does that affect the filming of Episode 9 and Episode 8? And they said, oh, we got what we need out of her. And I thought, oh, well, because she died 5 minutes into the movie. Or 10 minutes, whatever.
No, it was literally 10, 15 minutes into the film. So the film starts with like a big chase scene where the First Order is chasing the Resistance out of their base on whatever planet they're on, whose name I can't remember.
It doesn't matter.
Yavin 4 knockoff.
Yeah.
So they're chasing it out of there. The bridge gets hit. Of course, every important person is in the bridge. Classic Star Wars strategy. Have everyone in one spot.
Yeah.
So everyone died but Leia. Admiral Akbar died.
Which, God, that makes me mad.
We'll get into that. we will talk about that later.
Yeah.
So Leia, you'd think would die. She's floating through space. Like, oh my God, her corpse is floating through space. This is actually kind of a nice send-off.
Yeah.
I would have been okay with her dying then.
Well, and let's go back to that a moment, because that was actually one of my favorite moments of the film.
Yeah.
when Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo, takes to his starfighter group, and because how the plot is basically going is that the rebel ships, resistance ships, are too far away from the First Order ships.
We can call them the rebels. I'm going to do the same thing.
I know, because
okay. Before we get into that, my train of thought is the Empire, not the Empire, the
First Order.
the New Republic is gone.
Yeah.
They are the Rebel Alliance again. They're literally just the rebels again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm just going to shit on this movie at first. I'm going to talk about the awesome things later. I really did enjoy it.
But anyway, they're sort of too far away for the main starship weapons to hit them, so they send out a small group of fighters to sort of harass them. And Kylo Ren is in the lead ship, and you see a point where they're, he's pew 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 pewing essentially.
Yeah, he's like shooting everybody.
And he feels his mom with the Force on the bridge of the Resistance capital.
His mom being Princess Leia.
Right. And you see his thumb about to hit the fire button to shoot at the bridge.
Finger on the trigger. He didn't do it.
And then he moves his finger ever so his thumb off the trigger, and it's this really nice moment. And then one of his wingmates shoots and blows up the bridge. That to me is like almost the best part of the movie.
That was a really good. They really did a good job with him.
Yeah, that was a nice part. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it was a good way to show the conflict that's still within him.
Right. But then when Leia started acting like Jesus or Gandalf.
Okay. Not even Gandalf is classier than that. I'm just saying. So she floated through space. Okay, her dead body is floating through space. I miss you, Carrie Fisher. Nice knowing you. Thank you for my childhood, essentially. You thought she died. No, she starts moving. She like force pulls herself onto another ship.
No, it's the remains of the bridge, and then Poe and Finn just happen to be noticing her out the window, and they open up the closed airlock and let her in.
Like, why did she fly through space?
I mean, okay,
I don't understand
the
that.
defense of that is Leia is Force sensitive, which we knew. Right, even in the original trilogy, they hint at that.
Yeah, we know.
Mostly in Return of the Jedi,
but we know that she can use the Force, or she
Right.
could if she wanted. If she chose to go that route, she probably could have done good in it.
right?
But how can someone with no Force training survive
Yeah.
in space?
I mean, you could argue that in the 30 years or whatever between Return of the Jedi and this movie, Luke gave her some pointers or something.
But if we go to expanded universe, are they calling it EU still?
Yeah, but that effectively doesn't exist.
Or no, what are they calling it now?
Wait, the old expanded
Or
universe?
the new one? Because I know the old EU is Legends.
Yeah.
What are they calling the new one?
I think it's just supposed to be the normal timeline now.
Yeah, so
I
we have a
guess.
normal time. So Star Wars nerd thing, before Disney bought it, there was all these books and stuff where the authors would write the books and George Lucas would give it the yay or the nay, saying, yeah, I want this in my timeline, or no, I don't. It was just a good way to expand the Star Wars canon.
Mm-hmm.
Disney bought it. They made all that uncanon. They call it Legends now.
Right.
It was the expanded universe before, but Disney's now doing the exact same thing.
Pretty much.
So in those, Princess Leia didn't interact with Luke at all. I've read a few books about what she did. She was still a politician rebuilding the New Republic.
Right.
Luke was off doing the Jedi thing.
Right.
Till
As he should have.
Till he didn't.
Right.
Then he exiled himself. Leia got no Jedi training. She spent her time on Coruscant. 95% of her time.
As she should have, because she was a political leader in the rebellion.
Yeah, exactly. The New Republic.
Right.
She was like she was Supreme Chancellor for the New Republic at one point.
Right. But I mean, and even in the first 3 or middle 3 movies, however you want to talk about it now, Leia is clearly a member of the political leadership of the rebellion.
Yeah,
clearly she is.
She was literally, before she was the War of the First Order, she was the Supreme Chancellor before it went away.
Yeah, and even for the Empire, she was a senator in the Empire.
Yeah,
because like when Vader captures her in Episode 4, she says, "Oh, Lord Vader, the Senate will not allow that," and he says, "Oh, your friends with the Senate are done," kind of.
Okay, yeah. So while she is Force sensitive, there's no way she was able to do that with no training.
Yeah,
it was.
I
so
get it.
Stupid.
It was so thick. That's what I didn't like about it. Like, if you hint at certain things or just light touch, fine.
But that was too much.
It was too much.
It was too much.
It was beautifully shot.
It was.
And that is something like you will hear me say, I hated that scene, or I didn't like that point, but it looked great.
Yeah,
that's
the
what I'm going to
movie
say.
looked really good.
Yeah, it did.
The
It really did.
cinematography was one of my favorite parts about the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that whole Leia thing was stupid.
Mm-hmm.
The whole side story with Finn and Rose, bullshit.
Yeah, and
unnecessary.
Right, and here's the thing that really annoyed me, and this is going to be connected to other parts that annoyed me, is the Rey-Luke part effectively takes place maybe 20 seconds after the end of...
Why didn't it start with that?
Force Awakens, which is fine. Like, I'm not criticizing that.
I feel like you should have started with the whole Luke taking the lightsaber, throwing it away.
Probably.
And then go into the battle scene.
Right. And then what we'll call the Resistance section of the movie takes place hours or days later.
Yeah, I just...
Which is fine. Mm-hmm. But there's a scene where Finn meets Rose. And Rose goes, "Oh, you're Finn, a hero of the Resistance." I'm sorry, but he has been famous for like 24 hours. No one has hero worship after 24 hours.
Right? That's why he was so confused when he was getting it.
Right. Like, it made no sense. And, okay, this is a little of a tangent, but when someone is initially appointed something, like, okay, let's say you're George Washington and it's your first day as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army, no one was going, "Wow, he's George Washington, Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army," because he just started the damn job.
Well, I think that's just Rose as a person being just dirty. I don't like her.
I feel like they were trying to have it both ways of this takes place immediately after the events of the last movie, but then we're going to ignore the fact that no time has passed, which is a problem.
There was some time that passed between him meeting and between the whole thing and then him being in the Bacta tank and then her meeting him.
It's still a matter of a couple days or hours.
Yeah. Well, word can spread fast.
Yeah, still. Anyway,
I
that
think
bugged me.
Yeah. The Finn.
Yeah.
Yes, I am the Finn. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, their whole side plot was that they need to get onto the big, like, headship of the First Order to jam the signal that was tracking them through hyperspace.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good and fine. They spent half of it at a casino.
And the idea was them to get a code breaker to get onto the bad guy ship.
So they said they needed a guy with a red lapel.
Right.
They didn't even get him.
No, and that's fine. Okay. That whole subplot is filled with problems.
Oh
They contact Maz, who was like the Yoda lady from the first movie.
She was great.
But again, this movie takes place hours or days after Force Awakens.
Yeah, how was she in a fight already?
In Force Awakens, her whole house gets blown up. And we never see her again, whatever happened to her.
Well, she obviously got in some sort of firefight.
Yeah, why? What? And then why does Poe know who she is? Like, it made no sense.
Well, maybe I'm just gonna shoot the breeze. Maybe she was a big Resistance player, possibly.
I guess it just seems so like, hey, she was popular from the first movie. Let's shoehorn her in somehow.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I don't like, and this is a criticism that I level against many works of fiction, is that no one who is an expert is allowed to do their job. Yeah. And what I mean is that our heroes are on the Resistance flagship. In theory, that ship should be full of experts, technicians, engineers, military personnel, all sorts of people who are good at their job, that have received training of some sort, right? Mm-hmm. So if you need someone who can break into computer systems, you are on a ship that is full of computer systems that are operated by technicians. So why do you need to go to another place to get technicians?
Okay, I think they did that because it was tracking stormtrooper stuff. I don't know how common their codes are for just regular Resistance fighters. That's why they had to find somebody who knew. I think that logic is sound, I think. But that whole just casino thing with just wander around a casino, a guy's putting coins in BB-8.
Yeah.
Fun fact, that guy was voiced by Mark Hamill.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
That was the other. Mark Hamill played two characters. He played Coin Guy and he played
the little coin gremlin guy.
Yeah, that was Mark Hamill. I thought that was
okay. That's kind of funny.
That was kind of cool. And I liked when BB-8 was full of coins. You could hear the coins jingling in them.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. And that's probably why that scene was made. was to add some little levity, like that whole subplot.
It was just too Disneyfied for me.
A little bit. And some people said that it reminded them of the negative parts of the prequels, which I would agree with in some ways.
I would agree with that as well. Like, I get why they went there to, like, find the next Force-sensitive branch of children. Like, that was a way to introduce them into the fold.
I agree. And this is, like, one thing is my hopes were kind of brought up for a second, because when they were in the jail cell, and you just see these boots and they're looking for, someone to help them. I was like, oh, is that Lando?
Yeah, oh my God, how sick would it have been if Billy
I know,
because
I love Lando. I'm a huge fan of Lando.
Oh my God, I am too. But I don't know. I just feel like they could have, most of it was unnecessary. They could have introduced the Force-sensitive children another way.
Yeah, they probably could have.
They didn't need the whole casino, but the movie was 2.5 hours. They could have shaved the half hour they were there completely off, and I would have been okay with the movie.
I also felt like this was another issue where the timing was a problem, because the chase on the Resistance flagship felt like it was a couple days or hours, where
it was a span. They had 12 hours of fuel,
right? But the whole Luke and Rey part and the going to the casino part felt way longer than that.
Well, the Luke and Rey part took in a span of at least 3 or 4 days.
At least.
There was 3 or 4 nights thrown in there.
Yeah, so, like, I don't feel it lines up correctly. Yes, I know the whole, like, the one major criticism that holds water from the original trilogy is that the Luke section and the Han and Leia section don't really line up time-wise either, because his section, Luke and Yoda, feels like it takes place over the course of weeks.
Well, and then also we don't know what the time is like on the planet they're on, too.
But it
might be like just a 12-hour day instead of the 24-hour day we're used to.
Still,
you're just being a grumpy old man.
Because I am a grumpy old man.
So yeah, the whole just Finn, and then when they got caught, caught breaking into the big Star Destroyer, and then the guy sold them out like that.
Yeah,
it's like, why? They're just trying to create a showdown between Finn and Phasma, which was honestly pretty underwhelming.
Well, I thought the fight was kind of cool.
The fight was cool, but
that's the other thing that bugs me, is that it's highly implied at the end of or in the middle of Force Awakens that she gets killed by Han and Chewie and Finn.
She's a main character, though. She's not going to die. She's probably going to come back in Episode 9.
But then she was supposedly locked in a room, and then
a trash compactor,
and then, like, an hour later, the entire Starkiller base blows up. So how did she get out of there?
Okay, I'm just gonna assume she had some way of communicating with Hux or somebody.
I guess.
I know, like, and then the fight was cool. He didn't strike her down.
Mm-hmm.
She just fell into a pit of fire.
Yeah,
I'm assuming the Stormtrooper armor is protecting her from said fire, except for her eye. So she might just come back with that eye patch, or she might just keep her helmet on. We don't know.
Well, remember, she got, like, blown out into space. And she's not Leia.
But she also, she's going to come back in Episode 9. I'm calling it.
You think? Oh, man.
Because she was not stricken down. She just fell down another bottomless hole.
But then she also had the line, which I kind of liked, where she's like, you've always been scum, FN, blah, blah, blah.
2187.
Yeah, and then he says, yeah, rebel scum.
That was cool.
Yeah, I guess.
And I like Phasma. I think she is definitely being underutilized.
Yeah, I mean, she was sort of meant to be a throwaway. I mean, she's in a way, effectively, she's this trilogy's Boba Fett.
Yeah, but Boba Fett's an icon now, so.
Yeah.
And he's kind of getting his own movie in 2020.
Oh, he's totally getting his own movie.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I think it will be. If Rogue One was any indicator on how the Legends movies are going to go.
Yeah, I did love Rogue One.
That's probably my second favorite Star Wars movie.
It is my favorite Star Wars movie.
Is it really?
Yep.
Oh, we'll have to rank them later.
Yeah, we will.
After we done talking about the movie, we'll rank them.
Okay.
My second favorite, my middle of the road storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Poe.
Mm-hmm.
Laura Dern.
Dr. Sattler, you mean?
Sure. Dr. Sattler, Laura Dern, pink-haired lady.
Uh-huh.
I thought that was kind of cool. But another plot hole in that.
Uh-huh.
Why didn't you just tell him the plan?
I know, and this is
just created
okay.
so much
this
conflict.
is something we have to get in my soapbox, because something that I think a lot of us are like this, but when something that you dislike is then liked by everyone else, especially if it's like for reasons that you disagree with, like it bothers me, and I think that bothers a lot of people. And people are like, "Oh, she's such a great leader." I'm like, no, actually, she was a pretty terrible.
She would have been great if she would have told Finn what to do. Then that could have saved them. It's like what's her face, Rose and Finn from getting caught, because then they wouldn't have had to go on that excursion over to there, and then they wouldn't have gotten betrayed, and then they would have all been able to escape to the salt planet. It would have been so much easier.
Right. All she had to do was communicate the plan.
Like, I get that she was pissed at Finn or Poe for just being a little flyboy.
Right.
But you should know that people like that are just gonna break the rules if you don't keep them in the loop.
Well, and it's also kind of your job to communicate plans. And we kind of forget this, but yeah, he's not a senior commander, but he is the senior flight wing.
He's the best pilot they have.
Right. So again, he's not in that top echelon, but he's still someone who should be in the loop.
I mean, he's a loose cannon, but he is literally in charge of all the starfighters when they're out.
Right. And I think the lesson that they hammer in, like the beginning scene with the bombers, where they're like, you know, there were heroes on those ships, and yeah, we would have had a lot more if you had taken it back. He was right, because the closest thing, so Star Wars ship combat is effectively the World War II Pacific combat. Mm-hmm. It's aircraft carriers, large battleships versus airplanes / starfighters, right?
Yeah.
That's the model of combat that we're looking at.
Mm-hmm. Great model, but by the way, I love it.
Yeah, and it's cool. It's interesting. Well, if you read any sort of battle tactics or stories from the Pacific Theater of World War II, the number one priority was to protect the carrier. It didn't matter how many airplanes you lose. You protect the carrier.
Like, I understand them having very small reserves at that point.
Right.
After going through how many big battles within the week. But also, they did have the chance to get rid of the Dreadnought or whatever it was.
Yeah, and I think even Poe says, like, that's the ship with the giant cannons that could reach us. Mm-hmm. And the whole plan of escape was staying out of range of the giant cannons that could reach them.
No, I think, yeah, he was definitely one of the better parts of the movie, though, I thought.
And then also, why wasn't Laura Dern in uniform? That really bugged me.
Right, she's just wearing, like, some robe.
Yeah, put on some clothes. Put on a uniform. That's important. And I know that sounds dumb, but when you're in a military organization, you need to wear your goddamn uniform.
Well, I guess it's like how Mon Mothma didn't just wear robes.
But she was the political leader.
That's true. She was classy.
Yeah. I mean, she wasn't the military leader. Admiral Akbar was.
That's true.
She was above him because of civilian control of the military.
That's very true.
The president doesn't walk around in a military uniform. The president wears a suit.
And a big red tie.
Right. Well, you know, whatever, right? But anyway, she was supposed... I don't know. It just bugged me that she wasn't in a uniform.
Yeah. Yeah, she just bugged me. Laura Dern's a great actress.
Oh, yeah.
The character bugged me.
Yeah, and the whole plan, I thought, was, like, dumb.
I mean, it would have worked if it worked.
But see, this is
I get the plan. Their plan was to get like the little ships that would fly under the radar down to a rebel base.
Yeah,
which would have worked if they would have told Poe the plan. Then he would have said, Finn and Rose, "Don't do that. We'll be fine. Don't get on the ship. We're jumping ship."
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really cool how the ship went into light speed to destroy the.
That was very cool. But here brings up another problem with the.
What was your problem with that?
That's what they would have done with all the smaller ships.
They probably could have done that with the smaller ship.
They could have. And in fact,
this is a counter argument for that.
Uh-huh.
They're on the run.
Uh-huh.
Limited resources.
Yep.
They don't want to destroy ships if they don't have to. That was literally a last resort tactic.
But abandoning those ships was abandoning them to destruction. So if you're going to lose them anyway, you might as well try to take out or scare the enemy.
That is a very good point.
This is actually a very ancient naval tactic. It's called a fire ship, of where if your navy or coast is blockaded, you take one of your ships, you fill it full of gunpowder, you keep a skeleton crew on board, you light the damn thing on fire, and you push it towards the enemy. And the idea isn't necessarily to catch your enemy on fire. I mean, you hope that happens. But you also hope to scatter the enemy. because the ships don't want to be caught on fire, so they leave. And that can either allow you to
that opens
let
a
the rest
window.
of your fleet to escape or to do something else, right? So this isn't like a new crazy idea. Anyone
No,
would have
it's-
thought of this.
And she did.
Right. And also think of the advantages. If the First Order fleet goes, wait a minute, they just sacrificed one of their ships and they rammed us, they might go, whoa, we're going to hang back and let them go because they're going crazy right now. It's like the whole kamikaze thing in the Pacific or World War
But
II.
you also expect crazy people to be rational.
Yeah, but again, military organizations tend to be fairly rational.
That's true.
They tend to, follow rules and things. It's just how it goes.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that storyline,
It bothered me.
I really, really liked the Rey, Luke Skywalker thing.
That was definitely the best part of the film.
That part made up for all the bullshit I had to sit through. I didn't even think of sitting through it because it was still Star Wars. It might not have been perfect. I still really enjoyed watching it. I liked anything's better than the Phantom Menace.
Well, I will still maintain that the plot of the prequels is better than the plot of the original movies. They're just told poorly.
I do like the plot. I'm not bashing on the prequels. Just Phantom Menace. Clone Wars, or Attack of the Clones, I loved.
Mm-hmm.
Revenge of the Sith, thoroughly enjoyed.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's still Star Wars. End of the day, it's still cool to watch.
Yeah.
So, it might have been wrong, but it's still cool.
It might have been wrong.
It might have been wrong, but I still enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the whole Rey, Luke Skywalker bit, that was cool.
Yeah, I loved the part where, Luke is saying, the reason the Jedi Order has to end is because the Jedi failed. That under their watch, at the height of their power, they allowed themselves to get complacent and allow the Sith leader to corrupt the Republic and murder them.
Yeah, Anakin was literally saying, "Yo, this guy's gonna kill us all if you don't get him."
Yeah,
And then there's like, eh.
Yeah, and the Jedi were completely aloof from society.
Well, that's just the hubris of the Jedi, though.
Yeah, and I think Luke maybe sort of saw like, hey, look, this obsession with force sensitive people, whether you're Sith and you're the Emperor, or his father Darth Vader, or and then leading up to the Clone Wars and all that. That duality is what has led to so much death and suffering.
It has. Yeah, he made that movie for me.
Yeah, I was always hoping that when they announced that some of the old cast was coming back, I'm like, I hope Mark Hamill kicks butt, and he did in this movie.
And then some.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he kind of took on the Ben Kenobi Yoda role wonderfully.
But he was like grouchy and
Yeah, he's like cranky. Well, he's jaded from just everything he's been through. I thought Mark Hamill did a great job for it.
he did.
I'm kind of disappointed we didn't learn about like the Knights of Ren and what actually happened.
Yeah.
So like we have a better idea who they were. I have more questions about them.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that Luke would be the reason why he went to the dark side, or Kylo went full on dark side.
Well, I mean, it's yes and no.
I mean, I was just surprised that was what happened. Like, I know he tried, he made it look like he was going to kill him, and it did. But he was never going to. But
Well, I mean, for a brief moment he was.
yeah, but then he didn't. But then, like, on the receiving side of that, you're like, holy fuck, I'm about to get stabbed by a lightsaber.
By your uncle.
And your teacher.
Your teacher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I was just surprised that Luke did that. I know Mark Hamill wasn't happy with that character direction.
See, I think that's one of the this is me being mean. One of the few smart really aspects of this film is that it's very tragic.
It is.
Because both sides, like you go, Luke has seen all this bad stuff happen and
Which is
knows
why
the
he
consequences.
exiled himself.
Well, no, but I mean even before that, like he saw like, oh my God, Ben Solo could destroy all these things. I better stop it, because that's kind of his job. Like Luke's job is to do that, right?
Yeah, he is literally the Jedi Order at that point.
And then he realizes that wasn't the way. I mean, it was like a brief moment. And then, Kylo or Ben wakes up, sees his uncle and teacher about to potentially kill him, and that causes that. Like, that is Shakespearean tragedy.
Oh,
That's the definition. So that's really cool. I
really liked how they did that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that whole fight with Rey and Luke Skywalker over right before he told her that.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool.
Yeah. I also really liked the scenes between Rey and Kylo, where they had those conversations.
Yeah, that was
That
great.
was really interesting. I liked how quiet and soft all those scenes were. Really interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was actually another one of the parts I really like, the whole Rey Kylo Ren storyline. They handled that wonderfully.
Well, here's another thing. So when Rey goes down into, I'll just call it the dark side pit.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is.
And she looks at essentially a mirror. And
that part was so trippy.
Yeah, okay, A, do you think that means anything? Or do you think it's just, hey, look, it's weird and doesn't mean anything?
I think it means, like, that's the path to the dark side, right?
Right.
And she's, like, looking for her parents. She doesn't know who her parents are. So, of course, she'd see herself in that. She can't, you can see anything you want to see, but you can't see something in your head that you've never seen before, if that makes any sense. So I think it's like the dark side. Everyone has the dark side in them.
Sure.
She went down there. So she's just seeing herself. She does her clothing got a lot darker, too, during that part.
Ooh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, like she was wearing, like that's when she started wearing the dark gray Jedi robes over her Jakku clothes. So like that seems when she made the whole transition to darker clothes. Which you remember Return of the Jedi, Luke wore black the whole time.
He did.
Until the very end when the shirt popped open, then there's the white on the inside.
Aww.
I mean, it's so like cliche and just obvious. But it just shows that she has that struggle that every Jedi goes through at one point. So I think that was the whole point of the scene, is just to show her internal struggle with everything.
I would agree with that. And I also wonder if there's symbolism with the dark side she sees more or less in 1,000 versions of herself, right?
Yeah.
And I think, hopefully, most people would agree that most negative things in life are caused by selfishness.
A lot of the things are.
Right. And I think maybe the dark side, I think even Yoda says this in one of the prequels, is something about how, the dark side is angry and self-centered.
Yeah. What was like dark side has death has fear turns into hate or something like that.
Yeah. And I wonder if because she goes to the dark side pit, and sees 1,000 versions of herself. She doesn't see others. She doesn't see or learn anything about what's right outside of herself. And I don't know. I just wonder if that's a symbolism of the dark side.
I think it is, because Dark Side Pit.
That also sounds like a band. Dark Side Pit.
It does, but I see that as just like I'm trying to figure out how to verbalize it. Like, was there like when Luke Skywalker had like his dark side thing where he like was for a split second was like getting tempted when he was walking with Vader. Like that was his trial of the dark side. I think that was Rey's.
Right, I can see. Yeah.
I think that's just her toying with the idea of it and then realizing that it's not what she wants it to be.
I hope so,
because she wants it to be tell her where her parents are. Because it said the dark side lures you in by giving you power or whatever, their power or knowledge. So then that's what she went looking for.
I also had like flashes of Harry Potter with the Mirror of Erised.
Yeah. That's
right?
what it was.
Yeah.
That's literally what it was. She's looking for what she wants, but she didn't find anything in the dark side. So I think that was just her moment to see that.
Well, and related to that, when Kylo says, like, you know it, you've always known it. Your parents were trash. They threw away you as trash. They just sold you off for gambling or alcohol debts or something,
drinking money.
Yeah, and left you away. Do you think that is 100% true?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think it's possible. I'm not going to rule it out, but I'm also not sure how much of that was just him manipulating her, because in that scene it was after they killed Snoke.
But there's a hint of that before that, though.
Yeah, he's saying, I know your parents, so he might actually know.
Right.
But he said he would tell her if she joined him. She didn't join him and be taking over the First Order. So that might just be him manipulating her.
Potentially.
I'm not 100% sold on it. If that's who her parents were, whatever. But I don't know if I'm sold yet.
I hope that's true, and I've always hoped that's true, that she is a nobody.
Like, if she was nothing, I would be okay with it. Maybe it's possible she would have been born of the Force like Anakin was.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder how people would take that again.
Probably not very well.
Probably not very well.
But it's all the midichlorians.
Yeah, they know they never use that word. I was waiting for that. Wait to see the Star Wars nerd rage.
Yeah.
I don't mind the midichlorians. That doesn't bother me at all.
I mean, I think that was just a useless plot point. It didn't enhance or destroy the movie in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
I'm very indifferent about them.
Yeah, that's fair
So
enough.
she could have just been born by the Force. She could have just been nobody, which is completely possible. They've always hinted that she's nobody. That's kind of her thing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe she is just nobody.
Yeah, maybe.
You never know. I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
I was pissed at first, but the more I think about it, I'm just like, that's not everybody has to come from greatness to be great.
True, and I think it also creates an interesting comparison between Rey and Kylo or Ben Solo, because there's a scene in Force Awakens when he has captured her and she's in like the torture chamber, and he's trying to use the Force to get information out of her, and he's seeing in her mind her interactions with Han Solo, and he says something like, you see, Han Solo is a father figure. And then he says, in an off-passing comment, he would have disappointed you.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is about his relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would be interesting if these two people have both led unhappy, tragic lives, right? Both of them have.
Yeah, for sure.
And it would be interesting if both of them have come to, I don't want to say a similar place, but maybe a similar
their paths,
parallel paths.
Yeah, their paths were parallel, or they weren't always. But the second they join forces together, kill Snoke, they are running parallel with each other now.
But I mean, even before that, because their stories have not merged, but have intersected.
Yeah.
Right. Their lives have, but they come from very different places. So Rey is a nobody on a nobody planet with no parents.
Yeah, Luke Skywalker
blah,
said,
blah, blah.
"Where are you from?" She's like, "Nowhere." He's like, "No, where are you really from?" She said, "Jakku." He said, "That's basically nowhere."
Yeah, and he came from nowhere too.
Yeah.
But then it'd be also interesting if Ben Solo, who came from two good parents, maybe not good parents in the sense of they were good at raising children, but at least people, good people.
Very good people, yeah.
Right? And important people, especially his mom.
Yeah.
And then partially raised by his uncle, who is also a very good person and a very important
arguably
person.
one of the most important people in the galaxy.
Right. Basically his uncle and his mom are two of the most important people in the galaxy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, his mom was literally the Supreme Chancellor of the New Republic for a while.
And then both end up in a similar space of being unhappy and don't know what they want out of life. Yeah. And I think that's really interesting. Sort of one born with the silver spoon and one born with nothing.
With the rusty spoon that she found in the AT-AT.
Spoon with the tetanus, that's going to get
tetanus,
her.
wearing an old Rebel Alliance helmet.
Yeah, so I kind of hope that, because that'd be kind of sort of interesting of having them come to a similar place but come from very different places.
Yeah, that's why I ended up being okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of glad Luke wasn't her dad like everyone was speculating.
Yeah, I was hoping that wasn't the case.
I wanted that at first, but then I thought about it. I was like, Jedi are supposed to be celibate. Then
Agreed.
Plus, well, that's the religion.
Yeah.
So it's just, and then I'd just be corny. I mean, Star Wars is inherently corny.
Sure, and that's fine. I don't have problems with corniness.
But that'd just be a bit much.
Agreed.
Because Star Wars has always been the Skywalker family drama.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad it's kind of steering away from that. And it's like out with the old.
But, see... I don't know about... I mean, in some ways, I would say I don't like the fact that Rey doesn't have any connection with the Skywalkers, because the episodes are supposed to be about the Skywalkers.
That's
right?
true. Well, however,
Ben Solo is a Skywalker.
Yeah, I was about to half Skywalker.
Half Skywalker, and
Solo only comes from the baby taking his dad's last name.
Right.
He is a Skywalker.
Sure, he's part of that line. So if the prequels were about the rise and tragic fall into darkness of the Skywalker family, and then the original trilogy is about the redemption, I'm not sure what this is about. And that's kind of one of my problems with this trilogy, is I don't know what they're trying to say.
That's kind of what I like about it, though. It's different.
Yeah.
See, because the first trilogy kind of felt like just a rehashing of Star Wars original trilogy in a different way, and so did the start of their prequels, or the sequel trilogy. Like Force Awakens was just A New Hope with
Right.
a bigger starship.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know where they're taking it. Which, if you watch Star Wars in order, you can kind of tell where they're taking it.
Right. But I feel like you still need to say something.
I'm enjoying the mystery right now.
Yeah. I'm not
this was
confident there is a mystery.
Well, because this is more of a transitional movie than anything in my eyes for the story.
Well, yeah, it's
not
part.
really. Yeah, it's just the middle transition. It was more to just move things along. I wasn't expecting anything super big to happen. I was just ready to move it along.
Okay, we have to talk about Snoke.
Oh my god! Yeah. I have more questions than answers about him. He looked like Ric Flair to me.
Who's Ric Flair?
The old professional wrestler.
Okay.
Google him.
Eh.
Okay, he looked like Ric Flair to me.
Okay.
Yeah, so more questions than answers about him. Like, who is he? How did he come into power?
I feel like Force Awakens was a very enjoyable film, but it had essentially no meat.
It was fun.
It was very fun,
but there was no substance to it.
No substance. And I was afraid that it had so little substance that the next films, in order to be successful, would have to be jam-packed with explanation and plot in order to fulfill that promise. But this one offered almost no explanation and threw away a lot of the mysteries or setups of the last one.
Yeah, it did. Like, I just don't. I want to know more about Snoke. Maybe we'll get that from the books or whatever.
It's a cop-out.
It is. I completely agree. I couldn't agree more with that.
I don't mind background and more information given.
I would just like some background about him. Like, how did he become the leader of the First Order? How did he become Force sensitive? Give me 10 minutes about him.
Right. I mean, because
that's all I wanted.
Because what we're given from in the entire original trilogy is that, and Grand Moff Tarkin says this to Vader on the Death Star. Says, "You, my friend, are one of the only last members of that old religion," meaning the Jedi Sith stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then we are also led to believe that other than Vader, the only trained Force people are Palpatine, Obi-Wan, and Yoda.
But then there's still the rogue Jedi out there. And then there's
but that's not part of the canon.
But then there's all those, yeah. But Clone Wars, there were some, or not Clone Wars, Rebels. There's Ahsoka's canon. She was
right.
She stayed with the Force afterwards,
right?
So they're out there.
But when you imply that there's another character that has Emperor Palpatine level of power, who it's pretty clear like he can beat up Yoda, so he's probably the most Force sensitive person around, other than maybe Anakin.
Oh yeah, totally.
But because Palpatine is like 80 billion years old, he has more experience and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So when you essentially say, "Oh yeah, by the way, this entire time there's been another Palpatine level dude out there," you can't just be like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we're not going to explain him, discuss him, anything at all."
I just want background on him.
Yeah.
Like, why did his death matter to me?
And why does the First Order exist? Why did they allow this to happen?
Well, I think the First Order exists because it's just like the group of people who wanted the Empire ideals back.
Okay, but again,
and that's pretty much the only
and that's
thing they've given us, which isn't enough substance for me to be happy with.
I'm okay with heroes making mistakes and losing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not okay with them just being slapstick and competent. And that's what I felt like this new trilogy is showing us. Like, oh, yeah, we didn't bother to do anything about these fascists building, this giant planet-sized space station.
How did they not know they turned a planet into a giant gun?
And how did this... Okay, so the Empire built all these spaceships and the Death Stars because they had the resources of the majority of the galaxy at their disposal.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way that a non-large centralized organization like the First Order could have done all this. It just doesn't make any sense.
Maybe it's bigger than we're led to believe.
Even still,
I know
it just bothers me. And then the Resistance or the New Republic, they're like slipping on banana peels. They have no competence at all.
90% of them died.
And I'm fine with people dying. I'm fine with people losing because they're out general.
Rogue One's your favorite Star Wars movie. Everyone dies in that movie.
Yes, but like I'm fine with that. Like if you made for instance, if you made a movie about the Continental Army under Washington being chased by the British and getting their butts kicked,
I would expect bitches to die.
It would be a great movie. And then, Washington turns around and wins the Battle of Trenton and later Princeton and Second Trenton and all that. And yes, there wasn't competency, but they also were less experienced and less well equipped. And there is dignity in that. But in this, I just feel like, again, they're just idiots. And why did they have enough fuel to power their ships at their base?
Well, I feel like they just didn't have time to refuel because it was pretty hasty getting out of there. So I understand the fuel supply is being limited. You're just mad because my logic makes sense.
No.
I would. It does. But that doesn't mean they can slip on banana peels.
Well, also, I want to point out, within less than a week's time, the First
They
Order...
lost 90%.
The First Order has had their giant space station blow up that probably took a decade to build. They lost like half of their Star Destroyers. They lost their super-duper giant Star Destroyer.
But then they destroyed the New Republic.
And then they also lost their leader, all within like a week or less.
They destroyed the whole New Republic, though. And 90% of the resistance.
They didn't destroy the New Republic. They destroyed like the capital planet,
which essentially wiped out all the leaders.
Some of them. I mean,
they destroyed numerous planets.
There was like 4 or 5.
It was more than they wiped it out, though. They said we wiped it out. Then everyone else was like, "Yeah, they wiped it out." I think it's safe to assume that they targeted every major planet, and then when they were in the bunker and they had a distress call for other resistance people to help, nobody came.
Yeah.
So I think that just proves that they're alone and there's no other New Republic, which is kind of stupid.
Yeah, and I guess I just don't get the point, because the end of this movie ends where all they have is a like 50-year-old freighter that is like holds about 30 people.
Oh, it's older than that. It was in episode 3.
Yeah. Okay, fine. It's like 60 or 70 years old.
Yeah, it's 70 years old.
They have like 20 people on board. They have nothing. And like Leia's like, "Oh yeah, we got this." I'm like, no, you don't.
You have a semi-trained Jedi on your side.
Yeah, and it's okay. So here's the thing. It's supposed to be a lesson of the film. There's 2 lessons that the film claims to be imparting, and that there are good lessons. One, that failure is a good teacher. And yes, I'd say that's true.
I believe Master Yoda said it is the best teacher.
Yes, and failure can be a good teacher. But the problem is, almost no one is alive able to pass on that message.
That's a very good point.
Because Luke is the one that is specifically given that message, and he also believes it, like with the Jedi. Like he says the Jedi are failures, and Yoda reminds him that failure is a good option. Mm-hmm. No one is there to know that. Unless Luke comes back as Force Ghost.
He's going to.
Hopefully.
No, I feel like he disappeared when he died.
Yeah.
That's automatic. You're coming back as a Force Ghost.
I would hope so.
Obi-Wan came back as a Force Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Yoda came back as a Force Ghost.
Vader.
Qui-Gon disappeared, came back as a Force Ghost.
Yeah.
Vader disappeared. He's a Force Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Hamill's going to show up again.
I hope so.
I would bet $1 on that.
Oh, sure. But no one in general has been able to pass along this message.
I know.
The other one that I really dislike is that Leia and some of the other people are like, "Oh yeah, we have enough because we have hope." No, that's not how you win wars. And
they got to rebuild their whole army.
That's not how you win wars. That's not how you solve problems. You solve problems with expertise and a plan.
It's also Star Wars, and the light side always finds a way.
But
I know.
I mean, okay, so you would go, well, all they had was hope in A New Hope. No, but they also
they also had guns and spaceships and planning.
But they also had a plan of stealing the plans of the Death Star. They also had highly trained pilots in order to execute the plan, and they had computers and technicians in order to
one could
figure
argue
out
that the whole stealing the Death Star plans thing was kind of last minute, just kind of thrown together.
It was,
but they still succeeded.
They were still people who knew kind of what they were doing.
Yeah.
It wasn't just people going, "You know what we need? Feel-goodery."
It's like there was rebellions are built on hope, like they said Rogue One, but you also need guns. You need experience.
To me, it's like saying, "You know what I need to cure my cancer? hope, not medicine and doctors.
Well, depending on who you ask in the country.
I know, and yeah. And guess what's the problem?
Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of it was not great, but a lot of it was great.
Oh, this is a shout out to our friend and maybe friend of the show, Haig Palangian.
Yeah, he doesn't listen.
Okay. Well, anyway, he pointed out that in the scene where Finn is in that like weird janky speeder thing, and he's about to ram into the ground cannon.
The battering ram cannon.
Yeah.
The worst name for a weapon ever.
Right. So he was ahead of the pack, right? He was far ahead of everyone else.
Okay, Finn totally could have ruined the gun right there by kamikazing it.
Right. And Rose somehow traveled a farther distance and overtook him. That makes no sense. Finn was going as fast as his ship could go because that's how you ram stuff.
Okay, maybe
Physics doesn't make that work.
Okay. Argument time.
Yeah.
They were crappy machines.
Uh-huh.
I'm assuming some of them could go faster than others.
Possibly.
I know. They should have killed Finn off then.
I don't know.
I got closure with him after the whole Captain Phasma thing. I would have been okay with Finn just dying to save everybody.
And see, that's the other thing is like part of the lesson of this was like dramatic heroics aren't going to save you.
Dramatic heroics could have saved him.
Dramatic heroics could have saved him.
And then when the thing hits the door, you don't even see it.
Yeah.
And then it didn't even make a difference.
I mean, it was about to. I mean, that was the point. But
It didn't make a difference, though. They got out fine.
Yeah.
It took them a very long time to get in there.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Luke Skywalker did distract him a lot.
Yeah, that was part of it.
That part was great.
That was really cool. And I remember when they had the resistance.
Yeah, so for
rebels.
those listening at home, we're about to turn on. Luke came to save everybody at the end.
Right.
So,
that was one of my favorite moments of the movie, too.
That was my favorite moment.
When Luke arrives inside the base, and one of my favorite parts is he talks to Leia for about a couple seconds, and then he turns to, well, not really go outside, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He tends to go outside, and he gives C-3PO a smile and a wink. I love that so much. My heart grew 1,000 times when I saw that.
When I saw it with my mom, she said that part made her feel like a kid again.
Yeah, and what I love about it is that Luke is a understandably grizzled, bitter, disappointed man, as he should be. I mean, that makes sense.
I would be too.
But what I love about it is that he sees essentially the I mean, he's not a person per se, and he's not a creature, but he sees the thing, the person, let's just say, C-3PO, that was his true call to adventure. When he met C-3PO and R2-D2, that changed his life.
That's what got him on that whole crazy ride.
Right, and he sees this, and even though that led him to a dark end or a dark place, it also is a reminder of the good things. And you see this a lot in real life where, soldiers, even if they have, problems, with sleep, with nightmares or other issues, PTSD, alcoholism, all sorts of problems, whatever they are, there will be aspects of their experience that they look on fondly.
Like the friendships and the companionship they've made.
Or symbols, whether they're songs, military songs, or their uniform, or whatever it is. And I really like that. It felt really real. And first of all, I'm a C-3PO fan, so I like that. But
stop looking so anxious, C-3PO.
Oh, wait a minute. That bugged me too. This whole movie takes place like hours or days later.
Why wasn't his arm red?
Yeah. And we barely have time to fuel our ship, but let's take a moment and repaint this droid's arm.
It was a separate arm. They literally just had to take his arm off. Why did they put his arm back on?
I know. It served no purpose. There was a lot of other more useful things they could have done.
Maybe it was because they had some downtime in between them landing and the First Order coming to attack.
But why would they do that?
It's because they didn't.
It just seemed sloppy.
It was. A lot of the movie was sloppy. I liked it because the whole Jedi arc with Luke and Rey.
It was cool.
That made the movie for me.
I will say that the fight in Snoke's throne room was awesome.
That was cool. And Kylo killed Snoke with Rey's lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like describing, he's like, oh, I see him moving the lightsaber onto his enemy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, shit. He's
But
moving
it's
him on
you, buddy.
Oh, that was great.
And that was a really cool fight, I have to say.
And
That was awesome.
Also showed the conflict that's still in Kylo because he's willing to save Rey.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's going to turn to the light side. He's probably going to be the one to destroy the First Order. Him and Rey are going to tag team and make a new Jedi Order.
But, I mean, the movie ends with the implication that he is the new Supreme Leader. Because, I mean, he's definitely...
No, he is the new...
Yeah.
He is the new Supreme Leader.
Yeah, and actually, when one of my predictions that didn't turn out to be right was that at the end of the movie, Rey and Kylo were going to go off together, and I don't mean romantically, but they were going to go off together to do their own thing, whatever that thing was.
In this case, it was to hopefully start this First Order.
I mean, it doesn't have to be that.
Yeah, well, that's what they wanted, but I'm excited for the new one.
We'll see. Going into this, I was very excited about it, and I was very disappointed, as you can tell.
I went in expecting nothing, and I really liked it. It had its problems.
And before this, I was not looking forward to the Han Solo movie.
I'm still not looking forward to the Han Solo movie.
Oddly, I'm kind of more looking forward to it now. I don't know why.
Childish Gambino is going to be Lando.
Oh, yeah. And I love Lando.
Yeah. Donald Glover is like this generation's Billy D.
Well, maybe. I mean,
I think he's like the modern day equivalent to what Billy D. Williams would be.
I mean, Donald Glover's had a very successful career. I mean, he's been like a writer in like 30 Rock and Community and stuff. So, actor. Yeah. So he's a funny guy.
Great
Yeah.
musician.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. He's the rapper Childish Gambino. He's one of the bigger rappers out there right now.
Sure.
Yeah, you don't listen to rap.
No.
He's really good, so he'll make the movie, I think. And then Emilia Clarke's going to be in it. She's really talented.
Emilia Clarke.
Blonde chick from Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
She was in Terminator.
Okay.
Didn't see that Terminator, but she was in one of them.
Yeah. Okay, I know who she is.
Yeah, so she'll be good.
Okay. And Ron Howard's directing, and that actually gives me more hope.
Yeah, and then J.J. Abrams is going to be back for Episode 9.
Right.
So I cannot say I've seen a bad J.J. film.
I mean, I haven't loved everything he does, but he's very good, especially visually.
Star Wars,
Mm-hmm.
Cloverfield, boom.
Mm-hmm.
Two of the best movies I've ever
Super
seen.
8 is very good.
I haven't seen Super 8 yet.
Oh, you should. It's very good.
But Star Wars is some of my favorite. Star Wars are my favorite movies of all time. Cloverfield is top 10 for me for sure.
Really?
Yeah, I love Cloverfield. So I think Episode 9 will be good.
I hope so.
I mean, JJ's going to be on it. He makes good movie.
Usually, yeah, I agree.
So, rank your Star Wars movies.
Ooh,
All 9.
all 9.
All 9. Do we want to include Clone Wars stuff or no? I'm going to say no.
No, we don't count that.
I do love the Clone Wars though.
The TV show?
Yeah.
The Clone Wars TV show is actually my favorite Star Wars thing.
Yeah, the movie sucked.
I haven't seen Rebels. I haven't seen Rebels yet.
Yeah, someone we work with says it's good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I'd say my favorite movie is Rogue One.
okay.
Then Empire. Then Return of the Jedi. And I know a lot of people don't like it, but I love the parts that focus on the rebellion. And so seeing like the Rebel fleet and Akbar and all this, I like that.
I loved Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. And it was the one as a kid I watched the most. So I have the most.
Yeah, that's the one I
nostalgia
gravitated the most as a kid as well.
And it wasn't just because of the Ewoks.
Yeah, I could take it. Okay, before we finish the movies,
Yeah.
Porgs, yay or nay?
Nay.
I say yay. Because they were cute. It was Disneyfied, but they didn't overdo it.
See, I dislike them for a whole nother reason.
Why?
Because I feel like it was dirty mammals trying to take over the glory that is birds.
Keep going with
And
your
dinosaurs.
Keep going with your rankings.
They're like, oh, puffins aren't cool enough, so let's make them mammal birds.
I thought they were cute. I think they served a good purpose.
I did kind of like the scene where Chewie is trying to eat one.
And then they all wanted to eat.
Yeah.
And then when Chewie screams and the Falcon, and then the other Porg screams with them.
Yeah, that was weird.
And then when they were tearing apart the Falcon, like eating the upholstery and like getting tangled up in the wires.
Yeah, that's not going to end well for them.
That was cute.
I guess. But then the warp, not the warp, the hyperdrive may not work.
They're cute.
Fine.
What's after Return of the Jedi for you?
After Return of the Jedi, it's tough because I probably New Hope.
Okay.
New Hope, then Revenge of the Sith.
Good one.
Then Force Awakens. Then Attack of the Clones.
Was Last Jedi better or worse than The Phantom Menace?
Phantom Menace. Then The Last Jedi.
God, I hate you.
I'm gonna bring out my defense. And my standard defense, and I've said this 1,000 times about the prequels, is that the plots and the story are great. They're just told poorly.
I would totally put Revenge of the Sith really high on my list.
I feel like if I was like leading some Boy Scouts or something, and they had never heard of Star Wars, and I had 2 nights around the campfire to tell the story of Star Wars.
Oh, I would go chronologically for sure.
And if I told the prequel story, and then the next night I told the original trilogy, and I said, "Hey kids, which story did you like better?" I guarantee you most the kids would say
because the prequels were awesome,
but they're just told badly.
See, Phantom Menace was done wrong.
Agreed. The story is actually really good. It's just
that's
all
one of those
the
movies.
Stupidity parts.
I was maybe 5 when it came out, so as a kid I loved.
young.
As a kid I loved it. As an adult I can't stand it. But I do really enjoy the prequels still. Maybe it's just because I was a kid when they were coming out.
Sure.
I remember going to see Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith in the movies. But I liked them.
And the Revenge of the Sith has one of the best cameos of any movie of all time, and I love it.
Who is it?
When the clones and Anakin attack the Jedi Temple, and
Bail Organa.
Yeah.
That
so
was sick.
so Bail Organa is about to escape to tell people about that the clones are attacking the Jedi Temple, and there is one Jedi apprentice, little kid, that's protecting him as the clones are attacking, and it's George Lucas's son.
Yeah.
It is so cool. Like, it's such a great part, and it's a cameo that like matters because you feel for the character, and it really has a lot of meaning. And then the fact that it's George Lucas's son.
I actually
is
had
cool.
an action figure of that kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I would say my favorite. Empire Strikes Back. Rogue One. Probably A New Hope. Then Return of the Jedi. Return of the Revenge of the Sith. Force Awakens. Which one am I missing?
Last Jedi.
I would put Last Jedi actually as like my 3rd favorite.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I really like Last Jedi.
Okay.
And then Phantom Menace at the bottom. Then Attack of the Clones second to the bottom. I don't like them so much though. like the first 8 are really, really high up there. Like they're like, depending on my mood, the order would definitely change between the first 8. I just didn't like the Phantom Menace very much.
Fair enough.
Like, this just depends on how I'm feeling. One day I'll say, I'll be like, let's see. I always like episode 5 is my favorite, but the order of the rest will change.
Fair
Like
enough.
some days I'll say, I love Rogue One. Other days I'll be like, I liked Revenge of the Sith more. They're just different stories that are all told wonderfully.
Yeah.
Best thing ever.
I don't know about the best thing
I
ever.
love Star Wars.
Yeah, I love Star Wars too. It doesn't sound like I do, but
No,
but I
you
do.
I know you do.
Yeah, I do.
You weren't big on the new one.
No, I wasn't.
I mean, everyone has their least favorite. This one was your least favorite.
This one is my least favorite.
It happens.
And who knows, maybe over time I'll soften on it, because that happens.
Yeah, like, I loved Force Awakens, and now it's consistently ranked on the lower end of my...
Yeah, and oftentimes, like, new things can have... like a double-edged sword. Like, you can dislike it because it's the new thing, or you can like it because it's the new shiny thing.
I think I really liked it because it was just... I got closure with Luke Skywalker. I think the way they killed him off, we didn't talk about that.
Right.
How he just was... he was defending everybody with, like, projecting the Force, a version of himself, how he would have been at his youth when he was younger before he exiled himself from the Force to save everybody. And then after that, he died peacefully.
Well, he essentially pulls an Obi-Wan but without a physical fight.
Yeah, and see, I knew he wasn't there because he didn't strike anybody on the salt planet with all the red. He didn't leave any red footprints.
Yep. Well, and I noticed that I figured that was going to become important because before like the battle starts, when the resistance soldiers are in the trenches, one of their officers like gets up onto the main area, and one of the soldiers notices and goes, "Oh, it's salt," and you see him leave a red footprint in the salt. And I thought, okay, well that's going to mean something.
Yeah, and then Luke. Yeah, my mom caught on that right away. It was good. The whole burning of the Jedi tree was really cool. Ray took the books that was in the tree.
I think as people who work in a library, that was very important not to burn the books.
Yes, I don't know. I say we should. I told the branch head that we should burn some books today. So. Because she has piles of books she's weeding in her office right now.
Oh, okay.
She's like, I have so many books. I was like, you want to burn them in the parking lot, make some marshmallows?
Well, I approve of marshmallows.
Yeah,
not burning books.
Yeah. So overall, I enjoyed it. Out of 10, what would you give it? Dare I ask?
Ooh, I want to be a smart aleck and say like 0, but I'm not going to.
Be realistic. What would you give it out of 10?
A 3.
Okay.
Because again, there were parts I liked. Like I said, the visuals were stunning. And just setting aside effects, I'm talking about like setting up visual scenes and looks and things were beautiful. The most of the Luke and Rey parts I really liked. The
dynamic with Rey and
Kylo was really cool. I thought the fall of Kylo with Luke, the misunderstanding of Luke's motives and everything was interesting. And then the Luke was C-3PO I really liked.
Yeah.
And I do like the cast. Like, I think Finn and Poe are very likable characters and good actors, and Rey is getting better too. Like, she was, I think, the weakest actor of the new cast,
but she's getting better. She did like 3 or 4 movies in between that time, so you can tell she improved a bunch.
I think she was in The Murder of the Orient Express, and I heard she did a good job there, and I'm looking forward to seeing that.
And then she's been doing a lot of voiceover work too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like she did a Studio Ghibli movie recently.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't a good movie, but it wasn't her fault.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I would give it maybe 7.5, 8.
Okay.
Wasn't my favorite. A lot of things I would fix. Overall, though, I enjoyed it. I came in, I liked it, I left. I had a good time.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time.
Luke Skywalker. That's all I have to say. Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, he was pretty awesome in this. I'll say that.
Do you have anything else you want to say about Star Wars?
No. I think I've said my piece for the most part.
All right, so this was the Mathom House podcast
at the movies. Part 1.
Yeah,
Last Jedi.
We're going to do quite a few more of these. I enjoyed this little podcast, just talking about movies. So.
Yeah, and there's actually a couple upcoming movies that we might want to talk about, like Deadpool 2, Black Panther.
Oh, we're totally going to see Deadpool 2. That's hands down amazing movie. Black Panther. I mean, I've seen all the Marvel movies at this point. I can't stop now.
Yeah, I mean, I say that those are good candidates.
Yeah, we'll talk about those for sure. Yeah, and we'll talk about The Room.
And Amistad.
Yeah, see, these are really easy to do for us, so we're going to do a bunch more of these.
They require 0 prep time except for seeing a movie.
Exactly, so we're going to do a lot of movie reviews now.
Yeah.
Hope y'all like it.
Whenever we want to.
Yeah.
Our normal schedule.
Our normal schedule of whenever it's convenient. This is actually probably going to come out a week after the last one, which we
Episode 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, episode 4. So this will be episode 4.5?
Yeah, I'm going to call this is going to be a different series.
Okay. Mathom
House
Podcast at the movies.
Yeah, it's
number
going to
1.
be the different playlists in the movie in the channel. We'll probably this is going to come out and it'll already be out at this point.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter when it comes out.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Doesn't matter for you guys.
Because it's out.
You listen to it. Way to go. I don't think I did our Facebook plug. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube. Email us, mathomhousepod@gmail.com. If you have movie suggestions, we will take them.
Yeah, especially if they're good movies.
Yeah, well, The Room's not going to be a good one at all.
Well, no, but sometimes bad movies you can discuss.
It's like the worst movie ever. Oh, hi, Mark.
I am so not tired of that by now.
What a story. Oh, wow.
Thanks, Dustin.
Ha, ha, ha. What a story,
Thanks,
Mark.
Mitchell.
All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Cruel world.